Why You Probably Have No Idea What a Whale Is by Casual Geographic. No.
This is a whale. This is a whale. But this is also a whale. So is this one. And this is where all the problems started. Fun fact, I'm left-handed, so I'm not always right, and when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And boy, I was wrong about this aquatic Oreo onslaught, and chances are, so were you. Chances are, you have no clue what a whale actually is, and to explain, we need some lore. If you're watching this, or reacting to this, and you happen to be afraid of whales, you can blame it all on this guy. You see, this guy, thanks for unpausing by the way, this guy had a problem. Pachycetus saw where things were headed on land and decided they wanted none of it. Funny enough, some of them decided that losing legs wasn't worth it and chose to stay on the dry side. And about 50 million some years later, they would become the most infamous animals to grace this channel. Which means, yes, the closest living relative of an African homicide horse that technically can't swim is a group of animals that swim full time. Speaking of which, those that chose waves over caves enjoyed ample resources with less competition. With all those resources plus plenty of plot development, eventually that led to Yup, that is how we got the giant mass merchants that we all know, love, and slightly fear today. But the public school system means there is a lot we and internet backwards hat heads have misunderstood about them, and the biggest thing is what exactly a whale is. Well, here it goes. Cetaceans are mammals that stole the fish's entire flow, and at this point its law should be in the Constitution. Same traits, no relation means convergent evolution. Except
Interesting. I'm actually really liking that we're going into the backstory of the evolution of a whale. I wasn't sure what to expect on this. I like that we're actually going through the evolutionary process here. I mean, I'm a huge fan of. Is it carcinization? I can't remember. Everything in the ocean turns to crab, but there's also the other part of that things can evolve from crab, but then things can re-evolve back into crab. Crab is just kind of peak physical form.
manatees and dugongs. They're more related to elephants.
Okay.
There's two types of cetaceans, baleen whales, aka the toothbrush bristles for teeth type, and on the other side are Odontoceti, or toothed whales. You know all this, we talked about this, but let's talk about those toothed whales. Starting with family Zophi, I don't know how to pronounce any of this by the way, but Zophi.
So hold up, so for family, what are we, is this phylum? I'm trying to go to kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, because if we're in family, are we doing these subsets of families, or wait, family, kingdom, phylum, class, order. So is it order Cetacea? I totally missed that.
Odontoceti, baleen whale, manatees and dugongs. They're more related to elephants. There's two types of cetaceans, baleen whales, aka the toothbrush bristles for teeth type, and on the other side are Odontoceti, or toothed whales. You know.
Yeah, I totally missed it. I'm trying to go back through evolutionary, the actual tree.
All this, we talked about this, but let's talk about those toothed whales. Starting with family Zophi, I don't know how to pronounce any of this by the way, but Zophitidae, or the beaked whales. They're probably the most underrated and understated whale we'll talk about.
I don't think I've ever actually seen one of these. I love that mouth. That face. I need that put in like a 320 by 320 square format. That's the meme. That's the meme right there. Just put like bottom text on it. Call it good.
I kind of feel bad for them. It's not that we're not curious, it's just that their grocery trips take them to the absolute crotch of the ocean at down to nearly 10,000 feet, or 3,048 meters, or about 33 Statues of Liberty. They also do really bad in captivity, like as bad as you think a whale would do, they subvert that. They also look like dolphins with the aspect ratio screwed up. You know how some movies will tell you that it's been modified to fit your screen? Nature did this blimp dolphin no such favors. Also, the Cuvier's beaked whale can hold its breath longer than any other mammal, with an all-time record of 3 hours 42 minutes, which is probably why we know so little about them.
I wonder if the shape has to do with the intense pressure when it goes down to the bottom of the ocean. I also wonder what adaptation, why, right? Charles Darwin, Origin of Species, right? Why different birds have different beak types, right? Like more sharp beaks are going to be trying to get into little cracks and stuff to get insects. You're going to have certain types of beaks that are good at cracking nuts and shells and stuff, right? Like why specifically the beak?
99% of their time is in ocean incognito, so you know seeing a whole pot of them is something special. Now the next family of toothed whales is Physeteridae, or the sperm whale. I also feel bad for them because a misunderstanding got them immortalized being branded after baby batter. You see, what had happened was when whalers back in the day cut up the supersized cetacean, they were met with an organ filled with a chalky substance called spermaceti, which they assumed was just a nectar of nativity. What it actually is this kind of gel that helps amplify the sounds they use for echolocation. It also might help them with their diving, but we're not totally sure. But it's definitely not make-a-baby broth. Speaking of which, population-paced whales also dive deep. Not as
Population pace, dude. The fact that he does these deliveries just so smoothly, I love it. Oh god, it adds to the appeal. I absolutely love him.
deep as a Cuvier's beaked whale, but deep enough to trigger the devil's ring camera, or far enough to jump scare a deep sea drone. You know what? I get it, because if I was a recovering cetophobic, this would take me right out of remission. But if it helps, there is no documented case of a sperm whale census subtracting a person, even though they could technically do it without touching us. As arguably the loudest animals on Earth, or at least something close, the same clicks they use to hunt could possibly vibrate you to death, if not just knock you out. Which
sound is metal AF, pun intended.
Apparently has happened. But they're not all bad. The spawn of Moby is very family oriented and will even host family reunions. And they practice democracy because they make decisions as a group, and sometimes they'll spend over an hour arguing which way to go and how fast to do it. That's mighty considerate for the literal biggest predator on the planet. Oh yeah, there's also the much smaller dwarf sperm whale, not to be confused with the pygmy sperm whale. They're like nature's apology letter for going too far with their giga-sized cousins. They also always look like they're on the verge of a perpetual panic attack, and wouldn't you know, that's exactly how they defend themselves.
I'm noticing the coloration on that, very similar to hippos, I would assume, right? What, Fiona? Fiona kind of has that same darker on top. Sorry, Mudang. Well, I was gonna say Fiona's a different one. Like Mudang, right? All the Mudang memes, how Mudang is very light on the bottom. Just fascinating physiological similarities you just look at between animal species.
By unloading a sack filled with reddish-brown liquid as a diversion, it's like a smoke bomb from their anus.
Nice.
Although not sure how effective it is when you proceed to rear-end a rock. Okay, that's two families of toothed whales. Next are Plantanistidae, or the South Asian river dolphins. And you know what? I'm gonna include the South American river dolphins, even though they're really not even related. Matter of fact, they're not even dolphins. Oh yeah, the effery is just beginning. This undersea anxiety unicorn is more related to actual dolphins than what folks call river dolphins. But yeah, not a real dolphin, just a beady-eyed snout whale named purely off of vibes.
Hashtag not a real dolphin.
something rhyme about conversion evolution, but basically they peeped the fish-eating gharial's headwear and figured they could make that work for them. But yeah, the Amazon river dolphin is an exceptional kind of freaky. Not only does it look like nature's discarded chewing gum got on a diss track, it seems like every time they go viral, it's for some NSFW nonsense. A photographer once caught two river dolphins playing with a Benny anaconda when he realized two things. Their leather pool noodle was dead, and both dolphins' privates were standing at attention. And recently, another river whale made headlines for urinating in the air, with another one following the stream, like Marco Polo, but with
nice.
Scientists were stumped, but of course, I have a half-educated, half-internet guess. You see, dolphins can recognize each other by name. It's actually pretty cool. They can also tell each other apart by sampling their southern showers, so they got that two-factor authentication.
Right.
And while they might not be blind, with the murky cataract water they live in, they might as well be. So maybe this is just two dolphins using Forbidden Face ID before giving them the how the heck are ya? Or that could just be their idea of male bonding. Because there's also been a rumor that allied male river dolphins will do questionable things to each other's blowholes. It hasn't been proven, but I wouldn't put it past them.
It's so good. I absolutely love it. Oh. Wow. Yeah, was not expecting my day to take this route. But you know what? I'm okay with it.
There's even a legend that says river dolphins will morph into human men at night and try to seduce and impregnate human women. Now, I don't want to go too hard on them, mostly because there's a portion of Twitter that genuinely believes I hate dolphins, but also because we've done river dolphins generationally dirty, whether by habitat destruction, pollution, or just killing them to make bedroom pills, if you know what I mean. A moment of silence for the Chinese baiji, who likely died out in 2002 and hasn't been seen since. And now we finally get to Delphinoidea, the real reason I'm making this video. It's a super family reunion containing the real oceanic dolphins, Delphinidae, dolphin understudy the porpoise, a sentient squishmallow, and social anxiety in whale form. And the biggest oceanic dolphin of Delphinidae is the orca. Look, I'm gonna make this quick because you probably already heard this, but every time you've heard me say killer whales aren't actually whales, they're dolphins, it's like me saying humans aren't simians, we're primates. Every dolphin is a whale, but not every whale is a dolphin.
Right.
And I'm kind of embarrassed it took me that long to realize. Now, to be
I mean, it's kind of like it's why I like reacting to things, and I definitely get things wrong from time to time. Absolutely, I'm not infallible. I'm not omniscient. It's as much a learning game as anything, and sometimes there are things that just unfortunately slip through the cracks, right? Like, I mean, video games like Destiny 2, right? I don't know what half my abilities do, but Kip, you literally are like top 10% if I look up your raid report. Like, you have like 50 plus Root or Nightmare runs. Like, what do you mean you don't know what your class does? Dude, I don't know what my abilities do. It took someone pointing out that Clemency for Paladin in Final Fantasy 14 can heal other people. It's not just a self-heal. You can just target and heal somebody else. Dude, it took me way too long. Sometimes things just slip through the cracks. It's not that you're not educated. It's not that you can't do something. It's just that sometimes there's a bit of information that just kind of eludes you for a period of time.
Fair. It is true that killer whales are named less after their homicidal intent and more after what they were seen doing to other whales. And while it is well documented what orcas do to the world around them, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't actually think orcas are evil. In fact, I'll prove it. So this camera crew was documenting a group of zebras hunting, and all was good until the big mama of the group noticed a diver. She approached a completely defenseless and totally exposed man and examined him, almost like she was considering what the next move was. The next move was a 4-ton high-contrast ceticide offering him a half-eaten stingray, even gesturing towards it at the diver.
Nice.
She even picked it up and tried to basically hand it over to him like he was an anorexic orca. But later on, the same crew would find a much bigger bull male orca trapped in fishing lines and on the verge of drowning. Now this was different. This was a scared, panicking juggernaut that could easily murk anyone that got close. For reference, a bull elephant in the same situation would likely kick your chest in. The divers would make the gamble of cutting him free while very much in the Giga Guppy's hitbox. He didn't lash out, he didn't resist. The male stood still, almost like he understood what was happening. And this the same animal that allegedly won't give moose a pass. You've probably heard that a wild orca has never turned a human into a headline, and it's probably because that's just not their culture. Orcas have a genuine culture and different languages, and when I say languages, orcas in New Zealand have a different accent from those in Norway. They also have trends too. Like trends, like the same ones we do. Back in the ancient time of the 1980s, a trend started where folks were wearing dead salmon as hats. Except it was started by a lady orca in the Cape pod of British Columbia. The salmon sporting trend spread to even other pods, but like all fads, it suddenly fell off, never to be seen again. Yeah, that was a lie. In 2019, the salmon spectacle spun the block, this time with a young male, proving that like baggy clothing and iPhone obsolescence, some trends never die. And if
some trends never, well, and we also see, at least on the humanity side of things, right? We see trends constantly coming back, right? Like we cycle, like suddenly the 70s will be in, suddenly the 80s will be in, suddenly then it's like, oh, we're going back to the 90s. I can't wait for us to go back to like early 2000s. Everyone's just going to have their jacket and or sweatshirt just tied around their waist. Like I actually can't wait for us to go back to like 2000s music video status. 'Cause eventually it'll happen. You know, people trying to reenact 80s hairstyles despite the product no longer just being able to do that. Like, yeah. we rotate through things. I mean, even in the movie industries, right? Like we'll go through like we went through the penguin phase, went through the penguin craze of like March of the Penguins, Happy Feet, etc. And then we go through other things. We go through a revival of horror classics. We go through reboots all the time, right? You know, you have like an Alien movie again, you have a Predator movie again. Things just cycle.
I had a nickel for every time an orca went viral for its headwear. I'd have 2 more nickels than I woke up with. But that second nickel would be a lot more bittersweet. A mother orca, Telequa, was observed carrying her past tense baby for over 2 weeks and covering over 1,000 miles. It's not crazy that she did it. It's how long she refused to let go. What's crazier was that was 2018. And in 2025, she lost another baby and did the exact same coping tactic again. Now, if it makes you feel better, the mother known as J35 has had 2 healthy children, one born in 2010 and the other in 2020, but it's always the losses that stay with you. Yeah, orcas feel all the feelings, including empathy, which might surprise you after you've seen one slapshot a seal into orbit. But what looks like playing with their food is actually how grand orcas teach the little ones what to eat and how to eat it. And if that sounds cruel, just remember, if they didn't do that, there'd be a lot more cases of monochrome maniacs murking mankind. Because
I actually really like that's actually really interesting, because obviously like no arms, right? Like humans would not be able to do that. I mean, effectively it's just using the concussive force of its tail to absolutely just shock that thing into past tense, right? Yeah, wow, damn nature, you scary. I love that.
Is their omakase, and there's nothing alive that can check an orca.
Oh.
This is a pilot whale. It is the second largest oceanic dolphin. They're also the Ferrari of whales because their hunting involves sea sprinting towards prey at 35-mile-per-hour bursts, which is conceptually terrifying for such a big dolphin. And it might be why pilot whales have the juice to press a pod of killer whales. Gangs of pilot whales have been recorded pulling up to orcas en masse and sending the apex predators packing. There was even a case of problem-seeking pilot whales pulling up on scientists playing the sounds of orcas feeding. Now there's a lot of reasons this could be happening. One is that maybe they eat the same foods and figured they could finesse some calories for themselves. But my personal favorite headcanon is that pilot whales practice the art of offensive self-defense, aka the honey badger method. Be so much of a problem that most predators don't even bother. But one thing, and I really should say this more often, but there are no definites in nature. Pilot whales apparently DoorDash smoke straight to orcas, and orcas have been known to prey on pilot whales, so you'd expect the two to have beef. But a mother orca was also seen adopting an orphan baby pilot whale. So who knows what the pilots be packing? And then there's this guy, another dolphin on steroids that is definitely not an orca. In fact, it's a false killer whale, a jaws paralysis demon, and thalassophobia final boss. There's something about those eyes my spirit doesn't vibe with. It doesn't help that they can roll in groups of 500, 500. And if this demon guppy is your new nightmare, it's cause you don't know them. Falsies have been known to share food and hand fish over to humans for no real reason but goodwill, which actually makes a lot of sense since falsies will seek out other dolphins like bottlenoses as hunting buddies. Sometimes they seek out even more, leading to the hilarious hybrid known as a wolfin. Life finds a way. There's
things that I didn't know I needed to know until today, and now I know this, and now you know this. I don't know what to do with this information.
many dolphins in Delphinidae, and this video will look like Endgame if I describe them all. But there's a lot more dolphins than just a star flipper, like the Irrawaddy dolphin. Just look at his face, very cute, very demure. Or the optical illusion hourglass dolphin. But there's more than just dolphins in Delphinoidea. You also got dolphin little brother, the porpoise. The smallest of all whales, with the smallest porpoise being the vaquita, at a modest less than 5 feet long. And yes, their name does mean little cow. And unfortunately, there's less than 10 little cows left in the world. And the last members of Delphinoidea,
less than 10. That is actually bordering extinction. Like that. Wow. I wonder if, I'm sure that's all human intervention, isn't it? I wonder. See, the crappy thing is, I'm like, there's absolutely people out there who would love to have them as pets, and I guarantee you they don't make good pets. That's what. Well, what is it? Is it fire centipedes? I hear there's a fire centipede trade, despite them being, you know, wild animals, wild critters. Yeah, not a fan of the not a fan of that trade. Although I do hear, at least I understand, it's incredibly lucrative. No, just morally and ethically can't. Not when there's just less than 10. That's wild.
Are belugas and narwhals. Belugas are my second favorite cetacean of all time. They're a Bayside Baymax, and they have the same personality. They've been called the canaries of the sea due to the sounds of their symphony. You know, I could never understand why I found this sentient marshmallow so adorable, but I think I figured it out. It's because they're the only whales that can turn their necks like us. Belugas are a boon from Poseidon, with some of the strongest family ties on Earth, and every summer, they'll return to their birthplace to molt, add life, and chop it up with old family members. In Hudson Bay, that means over 50,000 belugas in one place. Speaking of family, the beluga's closest relative is the narwhal. They actually belong to the family Monodontidae, which means one tooth, even though... Yeah, moving on. Narwhals typically have 2 teeth, one in their mouth and the giant ice pick coming out of their head. I say typically because narwhal tusks are a lot like legs. Some people have 2, some have 1, and those that lose the lottery wake up with none. It's not certain what the tusks are for, but I say it's a flex because any question mark in nature usually has to do with... We don't know that much about them because I was not kidding about them being anxiety chariots. When narwhals get scared by humans, their hearts actually slow all the way down, even if they're actively trying to flee. Questionable character design, but it means narwhals can legitimately get past tense by a panic attack, which is why if one gets lost, it's basically curtains. One narwhal somehow ended up 600 miles away from his own kind, and with no one to show him how or where to hunt, it looked like this cetacean was finna say goodbye, until scientists caught him traveling with a pod of, the sea squishies.
Nice.
Belugas and narwhals normally don't even run into each other, so that makes this even more wholesome. And the fact
the beluga's just... Hey, buddy, come on, we're adopting you now. What? No, you're with us now. Cue image.
that he survived the winter means Beluga Gang taught the lonely narwhal how to feed. You'll love to see it. And that's all the toothed whales. On the other side are filter-feeding baleen whales, like the biggest animal to ever live, the blue whale, the funny-in-the-face right whale, and my favorite cetacean, the humpback whale. Now I know there's some of you afraid of this giant roving blubber rest stop. I can't imagine.
I mean, this just has to do with unfortunate timing and placement, right? Whale's probably also playing. I don't think this is nefarious or malicious by any means.
You know, I almost forgot about that. Well, that guy survived because it is physically impossible for a baleen whale to swallow a person. In fact, the biggest animals in nature can barely swallow anything bigger than a grapefruit. So if you ever get caught up in krill and a whale accidentally takes you, expect to be spit out expeditiously. But I think I know where the fear comes from. Whales are big beyond all comprehension, and the idea that something with a pulse can legitimately go band for band with a ship is probably terrifying. But also, they don't have expressions, and a lot of times you can't see their eyes, so it's pretty hard to even imagine them as alive. But what if I told you the fact that they're so big is why you shouldn't be afraid of them? Humpbacks are my favorite cetacean because their generational feud with orcas means they'll interfere with their hunts even if the target isn't their own kind. Even the sounds of an orca hunt can bring the humpback hood to their front door, and humpback whales have been recorded saving seals, sunfish, and even other whales from the barcoded sea assault. But humpbacks have also been recorded saving humans, with one shielding a scientist from an 18-foot tiger shark.
Nice.
At one point, he literally put scientist Non Hosser on his head and carried her to her boat. And the funny thing is, if we didn't see them do this with other animals, nobody would believe her. But with there being no recorded case of a baleen whale purposely attacking a human, they're much more likely to try to save your life than threaten it. Also, they seem to be aware of how much smaller everything is around them. Baleen whales have giant fins often encrusted with sharp barnacles. In theory, they could shred you something nasty if a whale backfins you. But there have also been reports of whales using those fins to gently nudge divers without injuring them, like in the tiger shark story.
That's so cool. I love it. I wonder, it sounds like a symbiotic relationship, right? The whale gets kind of up armored, and then barnacles get the ability to travel. It doesn't sound like parasitism, because parasitism is one benefits and the other doesn't, right? Like tapeworm status. I'm just like, it's cool to see interactions like these.
My theory is they're so big and so intelligent that Baleen Brigade has no real reason for pointless aggression. Really, they're just giant salt puppies. And I am not advising you to go touch a whale, but gray whales are famous for being the friendliest, and in some places will curiously approach boats and even show off their babies to people. But yeah,
Amazing.
Whales are chill like that, and if you're still not convinced, I'm more than willing to stand on it. If this video gets to 250,000 likes, I will go out into the ocean and swim with a whale. Why so high? Well, one problem. I can't swim. I mean, I can get from A to B, but I'm not great at it. Definitely not enough to be in the open ocean. Also, I can't tread water, and I physically can't float. I've tried, it ain't happened. But if we hit the goal, I will learn how to swim well enough to make eye contact with a whale. Cause hot take, whales and elephants might just be the only animals on the planet where you can make eye contact with them and there's a genuine mutual understanding of intelligence. But that's just me. Why didn't I say apes? Well, you make eye contact with a chimp and you tell me how that goes. You know, I'll probably do it anyway, but after 250,000, it becomes a promise, and I'll do it in a year's time. That's a challenge, but until then, drink water, hug your mother, please don't hate dolphins. I don't even hate dolphins, and I'ma see y'all in the next one. You get it? Cause this, y'all have a good one.
The phone. Amazing. This was actually really great. I actually really loved this. It was, I mean, yeah, a lot of people react to Casual Geographic. I love that so many people do, because he brings a lot of cool stuff to the table, and it's really fascinating the stuff he talks about, right? Like I don't know. It's one of those things. Lately, I've been talking about how React content effective on YouTube, on social media, is here to stay. For all intents and purposes, people do want to watch, whether parasocial or not, a creator that they enjoy. They want to watch the creator and engage with the same things that they do, or look into certain things that they do, right? So it's actually very interesting to see how that's there. And obviously, just we need to all make sure that we're doing it respectfully. We need to make sure that we're all being that difference, right? We don't necessarily want to just sit here, just have it the exact same runtime. Like, I feel I haven't really added much to this one, unfortunately, and I do apologize if it has been less transformative. This was really good, and I actually got to learn a lot. I got to flex that science muscles I haven't in a hot minute: King, Fathom, Class, Order, Family, Genus, Species. The fact that I still remember it after all these years. Love seeing the different physiological traits that are between different family members, different species, right? I think it's super cool, actually. It's super cool content, and I think a lot of people genuinely want to learn, or genuinely want to genuinely want to have something cool like this they look at and talk about. I love this. I thought this was great personally. I definitely recommend checking out Casual Geographic if you have not, especially that hitting that thumbs up button there. I think it'd be really cool. I think it'd be really cool to hear his experience with a whale. I also like dispelling myths such as, well, killer whales, kind of a misnomer. It's not necessarily against humans. It's against things we've seen them doing, right? I like that very down-to-earth approach, that very, what do you call it? I just like it. I like it in general. Love Casual Geographic. Love what he does. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I really do appreciate it. Definitely go check out Casual Geographic. I'll see you in the next one.